Thank you, Kendra. Wow, such a, let me get to the thing here so I can time myself a little bit. Okay. Anyway, I told the people that when I received that award, I said I felt I don't really like that award too much. It indicates that your life is over. And mine's still going. Okay, so it's not a lifetime achievement award. It's just a step along the way. Anyway, I'll start out I want to reference something that Kendra, my daughter, said yesterday. She said that in her words, she said that I had always told her you have to love to do the things you must do. And I over the years, I have hypnotized myself, okay, by convincing myself that I love to do all the things that I had to do, okay. Now, sometimes I didn't like to do those things, okay. In fact, I was so strong at telling people that I love to do all the things I must do, that even in the family would say, I know you love to be out there more than you do at home. See, so this can backfire on you a little bit, right? And the truth is, no. I prefer to be home with my family. And then a very close second, okay, would be to be out with the people that make up the Neo-Life community and to be here with you at this time. So those are just a few little comments. I will expand a little bit on this thing that Kendra said, learn to love the things that you must do. And so, first of all, our goal, and this would be the goal of any business, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, is to add new people to our business, to our team, and to our community. Okay, that's it. That is the blood that sustains our business, that builds our community. And so that's not difficult to understand. But you would not believe the number of excuses and things that we do to fill our time with all the things that really don't accomplish that. All right? Planning, training, okay? There's so many things. Talking to people who are already in the business more than you do to somebody new. These are a lot of ways to be busy, but not productive as far as accomplishing that goal of adding to the community. And so, people get excited. I was always more excited than anything else you could do is when I added a new person. Have you noticed that when you add someone new, customer or distributor, and then you get excited? Why? We're not excited because we just have a new person. We are excited because of their potential. Okay? We have a tendency we will prejudge their potential. We'll say, oh wow, that's going to be a great person. They're going to do great things. And then in some cases, we act in a way that prevents them from doing those great things. We do, you know, we really do. But there's that potential that we're excited about. And by the way, we should be excited because each and every person we add has tremendous potential. But then we prejudge. We see that they don't have a lot of skills in some areas, and we immediately lock them in to what we see today. We see and we say, well, they're not believable. They're too shy. They weigh too much. We start putting labels on people, and if we then always judge them, maybe they tell lies. Okay? I know no one here has ever told one. No, right? But we put a label on them. Maybe they don't tell the truth. They exaggerate the income. They exaggerate. Well, we label them. And if we're not careful, we then look at this community of people that we're getting together, and maybe it's a very small community, and then we look at it and we say, and then a month later, we still think the same thing about that person. We lock them in, okay? We keep them, we put a ceiling on them, and we keep it, okay? And they can carry these labels of shyness, of exaggerating, of whatever it is we put on there, bad speaker, lazy. We put a label on it. And then we fail to look at the potential because people don't stay. They don't stay with that label. That doesn't fit them after a while. A person who is exaggerating can stop exaggerating, okay? A person that is unhealthy can become healthy. A person who is shy can use that to their advantage. And we talked about examples of people who have taken whatever traits and characteristics and gifts that God has given them, and we've talked about how they have used those to build very large businesses, very large teams, successful teams, and a very successful community. Now, so I would encourage us all to keep in mind that in order to add people to this community, to this team, to Neo-Life as a company, and to you and I individually, there's a process. First of all, somebody says hello, makes a contact. Maybe they get a referral from another distributor or whoever, but they then see this person, this prospect. It leads to a presentation, and then they join. Some do, some join. Or else we wouldn't be here. And then they start to develop a belief. A little belief in the person. They meet people in our Neo-Life family, community, your teams. They meet family members, and this belief then starts to grow. And then at some point they will then come back and they will trust you and I enough to refer us to someone else. They don't do that instantly in most cases. Some do. They get caught up in the moment, in the excitement of it, and right away they want to tell somebody, and that's when this believability is so strong that it convinces people early on, okay? But then, once we get them in, the believability, then they introduce us to maybe some of their friends. And by the way, those leads, those introductions are like gold. Because there's a level of trust, there's a screening. That's why I always felt comfortable going into somebody's home or having distributors come to my home, because there's a screening process, that takes place. And you don't meet very many bad people, even prospects, that you would not want in your home. That's why it works so well. Because there's a level of trust, there's a screening, it just automatically takes place. Now, this process is ongoing all the time. That's the process that adds the new people, okay? The new customers, the new distributors. But you know what? If I look at periods of my life where I did not sponsor people, I went through a period where I recruited a whole bunch of people, decided that's enough, I'll just train these people. Well, you know the result. Everybody else started training everybody else. Lead by example. You raise your hand, yeah. Yeah, we know. Thank you for that. Yeah, I trained them. And then I realized that all I did when I started training them was to give them so much information that they felt they needed more and more and more, because they didn't want to go out and talk to anybody until they could remember all this information so they could tell people. Well, that stops this process. It doesn't slow it down, it stops it. Okay? It doesn't work. Now, and then little by little, we start to recognize, in my case, I recognized that I was afraid to go out of my house, I remember, at times. I just didn't want to face the world. I was like sleeping too much. I was just scared. You look at me now, you think, oh, how can you be scared? Well, I tell you, I was scared plenty of times, okay? Yeah. I'm still scared. Once in a while. Kendra asked me she said, are you prepared this morning? When walking home, I said, yeah. I said, yeah. I said, I don't feel like I am, but I know I am. Okay? So that's just the way you feel. Okay, now that I'm here talking to you, I feel great. Okay, but just before I came up here, I didn't feel so great. I just, I started to think about what I'm going to say up here, and I couldn't think of anything, okay? I have a few little notes here. Now, here's what happens. Why don't we always continually engage in this process of finding someone, talking to someone, getting a prospect somehow, okay? Then why don't we show them the business more on a daily basis? We're talking, okay? And why don't we sign them up more? And why don't we do these things? And I believe myself that it is fear that stops the process. Fear. Now you say, well, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm a strong woman. I'm a big, strong man. I'm fearless. I'm not afraid of anybody, anything, right? That's not the fear I'm talking about. These are little fears that stop us. Okay? And I made a list of them here, some of them. First of all, of what our family was saying. That'll stop you. My father stopped me many times. My mother got me going again. You've heard the story. Okay? My father would say, now, he loved me, but he wanted to warn me all the bad things that could happen to me. He didn't want me to fail. So what does he do? He says, wait, you've got to get those big ideas out of your head. You got to remember where you're from, for God's sakes. This went on, and then finally, that grew until I bought him a cattle ranch. He always wanted to have a cattle ranch and run it and live in the mountains and have an apple orchard. And so I bought this cattle ranch, got the cattle, got the apple orchard, got him a big new pickup truck. And then when he seen, things were going pretty well, he said, Jerry, are you sure the stuff you've got in those bottles is legal? And he would never take any of the products. Never. My mother did, but he never did. He would say, he would go out and test the grass for the cattle, have it analyzed, have them make up a mixture with all the right nutrients, vitamins, minerals for his cattle, but he didn't need it. That's how he thought. And then he progressed on. I convinced him that, okay, it's legal. And then he said, Jerry, look, I'm here, I run around, I'm acting like I'm a big rancher, and I drive the truck down, I go down to the Springville Cafe in the morning, and I act like a big shot. He says, please don't go broke. He said, if you go broke, he said, I'm going to have to leave the country. I can't. Yeah, that's my father. Anyway, so we're afraid of what family will say, and they can be devastating, and we're afraid of what our friends will say, right? What will they say? Just the fear of what they might say stops us, not what they said, what they might say, right? And we're afraid that, this would lead to some kind of embarrassment. This is not tough that you're going to defend yourself physically. No, this is just being embarrassed. And in different cultures, this embarrassment thing is stronger than others, okay? It's very strong everywhere. Very strong. In places like, Japan, they call it losing face. And children and kids, if they got a bad grade in school, they have to go home. Sometimes they commit suicide on the way home because they don't want to, they want to lose face. Embarrassment is just something you can't take, right? You've read about it, you know about it. But we all feel it because we don't want to be embarrassed, right? So that fear of embarrassment is one of those things that stops us from doing what we have to do, okay? And then we start, we're not only afraid of what they might say, we're afraid of what they might think. No. We're afraid they might think something bad of us. And that stops us, right? I had this one distributor. He said he talked to another of his distributors, and that the distributor said, what do how do you deal with all the things, when you're in direct selling or multi-level selling, and all some of the bad reputations companies have, how do you deal with that? It must be tough. And the answer was, he said, no, they never suspect me of being in that business, Yeah. No. Why? He doesn't want to be suspected because it might lead to somebody saying something bad or thinking something bad. On this thinking thing, don't worry about that at all, because I have news for you. They're already thinking it. They're already thinking it. If you are a auto repairman and people kind of know you are, and you're not repairing any cars, what do they think? What's wrong with it? And no matter what you're doing, they look at you, and if you are not, if you are doing anything, if you're a car salesman and you're not selling any cars, what do you think they think of you? I think something's wrong with you, right? They already think it. They think it because they see, it's like this old saying which says, who you are, speak so loudly, I can't hear anything you're saying. It shows through. People know if you're sponsoring or not, talking to people or not, building your team up. They know. And they're already thinking it. So you can forget that one, okay? Now, I'm going to retreat here just for a moment. You've heard that the key, and we heard it here, is people say became very passionate about Neo-Life, its principles, my community, my team. And then you hear successful people say that you have to find your passion to be successful. And we buy into that. I've said it for years. I said that. I was watching the television, an interview of a very successful man, very wealthy, and this was in the U.S. And he said that they asked him his key to his success. He says, "Well, I have to advise you must find something you're passionate about." I agreed with that. And then I found out that he made his fortune as a garbage collector. All right? So I thought, that's BS. You don't become passionate one day and say, I'm passionate because I'm going to be a garbage collector. No. So I started questioning what I've been saying. And it's not true. Okay? It's not true. And I've seen people never get started because they go around trying to find their passion. Well, I can't find my passion, so I guess I'm just stuck. No. You have to have passion, and I can't, there's nothing I'm really passionate about. So, what do I do, right? And I have to tell you that you don't find your passion. We become, first of all, we know that this fear stops us. I used to also say something else that I no longer believe is true. I said it for years and years, you know. I said the opposite of fear is courage. Okay, that leads somebody to think that you can go along and you can find courage, right? And then once you found your passion, once you found your courage, then you can go do something. I don't care what it is you do, but you're going to do something, right? Well, no. It was mentioned yesterday, and I believe this was, this goes back to what Kendra mentioned there, that if you know what you have to do, okay, and you will know, and then you start doing it, even though you're afraid, even though you feel fearful, right? If you do that, then you have to do the things you must do while you're afraid, okay? Everybody's been there, right? Do while you're afraid, and then over time, you start to love what you're doing, and that's the key. If you love, you learn to love the things you have to do. And then once you do that, the fear goes away. Now, human nature, animal nature, think about this. You know that if we have bears that travel around the wine property, and they love ripe grapes. They're there now. I saw a couple the other day, okay? And if you get between, a mother bear is fearful, and if she sees you, she'll run. Unless she's got her cubs there. So she loves her cubs more than she fears you, right? And then she's dangerous. Think about a woman who has children and somebody messes with those children. She becomes fearless. Why? The love cancels out the fear. Cancels out the fear. When you love your faith, you know, you talk about it, it cancels out the fear. When you love your team, your community, you love your neo-life principles, what the whole thing stands for. When you love those things, then you're fearless. You don't care what anybody else says about it or what they think about it. Okay? And then instead of thinking those bad things about you, they start saying things like, wow, that person is really excited about what they're doing. We saw examples of it here yesterday. They say, wow, you know, I better look into this a little bit, you know. When I was 19 years old, I was running around talking to some friends, and in another couple of weeks, or maybe a month, I'm going to go to a high school reunion, okay? Well, half of the kids I went to school with are all dead, more than half. They're all my age. But for the last many years, I would go, you know, first of all, 20 years, then 30, then 40, and then as you get older, they go every 5 years, you know, because people are dying, and they don't think you're going to last another 10. So they have one at 5. And I'm going to go to one, all right? Now, multiple times. I'm thinking of one guy right now. His name was Gerald Chadwick, and he was a classmate, and I used to go on the Tule River where we lived, and we liked to fly fish, and we'd go catch fish, fly fish. And close friends. And he came to me and he said, oh my, you know, this now he's, you know, 70 years old at the time. He said, I don't know why you didn't talk to me about what you're doing. You know? Would have changed my life. I said, I did talk to you. I did talk to you. I remember talking to you. Yeah, you barely mentioned it, he said. You didn't talk strongly enough, you know? Now, you see, he's changed from, I remember him when I talked to him, and he poo-pooed the whole idea, right? He talked down about it. He was one of those that gave me, discouraged me. He tried. So I'm asking you to re-examine this community of people. First of all, if you want to build it up, how do you build a community? You add people to it. Then once you get the community, you don't prejudge, okay? If I would have prejudged Charlie Bolton, I would have left town. I would have, really. There's been a lot of people like that. But you don't prejudge, and you look at every person in your community that you're able to attract. You don't prejudge and say, well, I'm not going to talk to this professional person. They're a doctor, they're this, they're that. I mean, no. They're all, you know what? They all end up broke too. They do. It's the 70-70 rule. At 70 years of age, 70% of people in the U.S., and in some countries it's worse, end up relying on some kind of a pension or something from the government that gives them a very, very low lifestyle. So just in the interest of building something up so that there could be more times like this, more travel, more whatever, look at everyone in that group and look at them like, even if they look like they're not going to do anything, know that God created them, that's each one of you, by the way, to do really great things. And do it with the gifts that you already have. All you have to do is start exercising it, practicing it, just like when I started learning how to ski, I thought I could figure